Chapter 17. He didn't get a second to say goodbye to Amelia because the moment his foot touched the tomb he was dragged inside by many unseen hands. He allowed himself to be dragged into the darkness, not feeling the need to struggle against his restraints. Naruto couldn't sense anyone in this place, but more importantly, Echidna's energy was missing. However, he wasn't alone, the Bijou were with him. "You're an idiot for getting yourself captured, but I can't blame you. You did what you had to do to save your girlfriend," Sun said, slightly annoyed. He was a proud Bijou and the idea of his container getting captured was slightly infuriating to him. Naruto sighed in acceptance and nodded to himself. He did what needed to be done. He prevented Amelia from entering the tomb and letting the unseen hands capture her. He knew the Witch of Envy would be there, waiting for Amelia. He felt it, her energy had an indistinguishable feeling to it, a very familiar feeling indeed. Perhaps she was growing annoyed at her subordinates for failing her again and again, if Amelia's body was truly what she was after. If he was in her place, he would certainly be anxious or even displeased. It seemed as though she would take matters into her own hands. "I'm sorry." The voice brought Naruto out of his thoughts. That voice. He started to track her energy signature. Without a second thought, he followed his sensor. He came to a stop when he saw her back. "Be careful, she's very unstable right now," Kurama warned his container. He was feeling her emotions were all over the place, from fear to sorrow to longing and, strangely enough, joy. Like this, she was as dangerous as a cornered animal. Naruto nodded and approached with caution. He had no choice but to approach her, there was nothing else to do in this place. However, when he approached her, she stepped away from him. She seemed fearful of him, for some reason, and it made it seem like he was the bad guy here. So, knowing this would help her, he stopped before he reached her. "I'm sorry. Please stay away from me." When she finally spoke her voice wasn't raspy or arrogant, it was soft and fearful. "Why are you sorry? Why do you sound so sad?" Naruto asked softly, continuing to approach her, but she stepped away from him even further. "Why are you scared? Why you saw what I did to you? I watched you die in her arms. I am scared that you will get angry with me," she said before her back hit an invisible wall. This seemed to throw her into a panic. Please stay away from me. I am a bad person. I hurt you and I dash." Her voice dropped when he started to hold her cheek. "Echidna told me everything she knew about you. Well, almost everything," he said as the shadows covering her face vanished. His eyes widened when he saw a very familiar face, Amelia's face. Every characteristic of hers was there, from her long silver hair, her amethyst eyes to her pointed ears. Why did they look the same? The second thing he noticed was her eyes, more specifically, her tears. Since Naruto is still holding her cheek, he used his thumb to clean her tears and gave her a smile, trying to appear as passive as possible. He felt that this seemed to calm her a little. This triggered a small memory, and he decided to use what he remembered. He pulled her into a hug. It was ironic in a sense, the last time he did this he was fighting himself and his past, now he was doing so again, but not for himself. The silver-haired girl tried to back away, but he didn't allow it, determined to make her feel accepted, just as he needed a hug, perhaps she too needed one. She let out choked sobs as she buried herself into his chest, mumbling inaudible words. For the next minutes, they just remained in this position, her cries gradually dying in his chest. She wasn't crying anymore, but her sadness was still very much present. "Feel calm now?" Naruto asked. Sadella simply nodded. "I don't understand. Why aren't you angry with me? I'm the Witch of Envy, she who swallowed the other 6 witches, and half the world. People hate me for what I did, so why don't you? I was very interested in your story, what would make someone just snap one day and swallow a good portion of this world?" he said as he and Sadella pulled away from each other. Something like an out-of-control, very powerful witch factor. Now that he said that out loud, he realized he could have been like this person, controlled by a power greater than himself and blamed for horrible crimes that he had no part in. Was this why he was helping her? Was he trying to understand her because he felt a certain kinship with her? Maybe, in his mind, she was an image of something that he could have been. This amount of thoughts have been tiring him lately. "So, she told you everything?" she asked, ashamed of herself for losing her mind against her powers, not aware of his thoughts. "Yeah, but I believe there are some things that only you can answer." "I see. I'm sorry for sending you here. I That's okay, I don't mind at all. Naruto said. Sat Ella. Yes. I'd like to hear your story, can I? Of course. I'd love to tell you everything about me and this world. Emilia-sama? There was no response. The only sound that followed the question was that of a door opening. The blue-haired maid spotted a silver-haired girl on a bed, her face buried in a pillow. Her brow furrowed in concern when she saw she held Naruto's headband in her hand. Stepping inside the room, she saw the poor state the girl was in. Her appearance, normally royal and composed, was now messy, with dry tears on her cheeks. She had bags under her eyes and her hair was disheveled. Amethyst eyes were looking at a little white hairpin in the shape of a butterfly, seemingly lost in memory. Emilia-sama. Rem spoke as she sat on the bed with the half-elf. I know you don't want to leave, but it's not safe to stay here. I can't leave you behind. She remembered that she arrived to look for them when they didn't appear last night. She just found Emilia waiting and calling out for Naruto to come back. But he didn't, and she didn't know why, but entering the tomb was useless now. He was nowhere to be found. He was my first real friend. I was nervous and scared of how everyone was going to treat me, but he came to help me. Emilia said, uncaring for tears on her face. I laughed when he did funny things and I smiled when he comforted me. He helped me deal with all the stress I had. He's the human I love the most, and I miss him, and I won't leave him behind just because the barrier is open. It didn't matter to her if she was free to go, she was going out of this place with him or she wouldn't. Emilia was brought out of her thoughts when the room lit up. She looked around and saw the lesser spirits she had contacted to help her look for him. They told her something that immediately brightened her mood. What? That's impossible. Rem heard her speak to the little glowing spirits. What is it, Emilia-sama? She asked. Without saying a word, Emilia jumped out of the bed, opened the door, and ran to the forest where the sanctuary was with the lesser spirits trying to keep up with her. You didn't want this? The witch cult is trying to bring you out of the seal, but you don't want it? Naruto was shocked to learn that Sadella didn't want to be freed by that group. The silver-haired girl nodded slowly and looked at her beloved with an apologetic expression. I never wanted this. I would never do such bad things to you and your loved ones, not me, but the Witch of Envy would. I'm so sorry, I didn't know that I could hurt and anger you. She said sadly. If you don't want to leave, can you just not accept their offer? Naruto asked. It isn't that simple, I can't control my power. As the Witch of Envy, I'm no longer me and I'd do anything to get out of here. You must understand, you can't let them capture Emilia or else my magic will possess her. Sadella said, feeling ashamed of herself, but a comforting hand grabbed hers. Your hand is really cold. Naruto said sadly. You've been in this empty place too long. I'm sorry. Why would you apologize? This isn't your fault. Sadella said, but he shook his head. What is it? Let's get out of here. I don't want to stay in this cold place. Naruto said as both of them stood up and walked together to find a door. He held Satella's hand, not letting go of her. He knew he couldn't bring Sadella to the outside world right now, but now that he knew the story of Sadella and not that of the Witch of Envy, he wanted the best for her, to get her a good ending. Naruto. Yeah. You met the other 6, do you like them? Well, yeah, they were pretty cool, even Minerva. She's cool but scary. Naruto had a shiver run down his spine. Sadella let out a light-hearted giggle at his face. You'll get used to her. I'm glad you aren't scared of them. She said. Why would I? Most of them don't even look dangerous. There was one that almost fell asleep when I met her. It was weird because I thought they would be old. He said before his cheek got pinched by Sadella. What? That was very mean to them. Are you saying I'm an old woman too? Her mood seemed much better now, and she didn't want to ruin the mood, so she pouted and looked away too. Sorry. Sorry. My bad. They're going to be mad at you. Eh? You know, I was just joking around. Sadella? Naruto looked at the sad expression on her face. What's wrong? You can tell me. It was just that I've been stuck here for so long. It's cold and lonely. She answered as she grasped his hand. Honestly, I was scared that you were going to be angry at me. How come you forgave me so quickly? I could have been in your situation. Naruto remembered he faced his true self. I could have been you, said Ella. I fought my dark side once. He was surrounded by nothing but hatred. I have no idea what would have happened if I took his path. To just allow my power and hate to guide my actions. Perhaps everyone held dear would have died by my hand. But I trusted someone that prevented that. Who did you trust? Sadella asked. I trusted myself. Naruto smiled at Sadella as her eyes narrowed in confusion. To trust myself, as the one who can make a true impact in my life. Maybe you should trust yourself too, trust that you can control your powers. Sadella cut him off by hugging him. That's the first time I've received help with this problem. She said with a smile. Sadella, Naruto paused as his smile quickly transformed into a serious face. He pushed her away gently and stepped in front of her, glaring at another person that looked like the woman he was talking about. Sadella, is this? Sadella glanced at the shadowy figure, and she nodded to him dumbfounded. That's impossible, that's my other self. How? She wondered, but she felt her witch factor leaks out from her body, making her grit her teeth in anger and pain. You chose her over me. You chose her over me. You chose him over me. You chose him over me. A soft but powerful voice said, sounding resentful. The words made Sadella shiver, but she realized that figure sounded hurt. This wasn't good, this thing was the manifestation of her power, this was the Witch of Envy. A version of her that took everything she wanted whether others liked it or not, herself included, and she seemed pissed right now. I'm not here to destroy you or kill you. I'm here to stop you and free you. He said, glaring at the Witch of Envy with his sun-colored eyes as his entire body turned yellow chakra with yellow coat and bodysuit beneath. Naruto, you're... Sadella said, shocked at the amount of energy that emanated from his form. Sadella, hold on tight. He said. Right. She wrapped her arms around his neck when he scooped her up with one arm in a princess carry. Naruto grabbed a black rod with his free hand. He was ready to fight against the witch, who started the fight by sending a great number of unseen hands. All he did was slash at them while he guarded Sadella. He was underestimating their numbers when some of them were quickly gaining power and size. He began to fly high into the dark void and sent two of his Gudadama to explode against the hands that were going after them, resulting in a humongous explosion. After destroying them, the Gudadama quickly returned to his back, tiny after losing a lot of their stored energy, but they returned to normal size once he filled them again. He could fight the witch to the death, but what would happen to Sadella? Her emotions were beginning to fluctuate rapidly just as her mana, her attacks were beginning to grow stronger and bigger by the second. Don't touch my beloved. Don't touch my beloved. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. She repeated as she unleashed 2,000 unseen hands at them. Naruto gritted his teeth and held Sadella tightly. Sadella, hold me tight. He said as she nodded to him and held him tight. He has 9 Gudadama with him, so he should be able to keep up with the Witch of Envy by using defense and Raisin Shuriken to destroy her hands. He could use the Bijadama or Bijadama Raisin Shuriken on them, but the problem is he'll destroy the whole place, and that made things more complicated since he didn't know if he could go back where he came from. Seeing 2,000 of unseen hands, Naruto dodged every one of their touches. He slashed his rod at them, shot the Gudadama, and used a shield to protect himself and Sadella. Even though his Gudodama could destroy the unseen hands, they just kept coming and didn't seem to end. A massive hand appeared out of nowhere, ready to just slam him against whatever counted as a floor here. He couldn't dodge, it was too late, but he could embrace for impact. So, he did exactly that, making sure that Sadella was secured against his chest. They slammed against the floor and both were unharmed, but the massive hand was still trying to get them. Naruto formed a massive Rasengan and smashed it into the giant unseen hand and the hundreds of other hands, making a straight path to the witch. His chakra arms automatically came out from his back and created multiple Rasengan to destroy the new hands that were going to touch him. Naruto flicked his wrist and a Raisin Shuriken was immediately there, brimming with power. Raisin Shuriken. Naruto threw the technique at the witch and directly hit her as it was released into a huge vortex sphere. He hoped his base attack could at least knock her out, but his hope faded when he saw the figure in the smoke, almost unharmed. Right. As far as anyone was aware, this being was immortal, like Kaguya, though she didn't hold a candle to the goddess, immortality was still immortality. Naruto, behind you. He dodged the attack, but there was a second one ready to pound his bones into dust. He let go of Sadella to brace against the hundreds of punches. This was a bad idea. While the impact was nothing, the sensation they left behind was very painful, almost as if they were poisoned or coated in acid. Naruto immediately summoned thousands of clones to help him fight against this never-ending attack. This left him much needed time to heal whatever it was the hands were coated in. "What the fuck are you doing? Getting yourself killed?" Kurama yelled. Sorry. I lost my focus." Naruto yelled as his left arm healed. "She can't die. Not even my Bijudama could keep her down for long. Can you stop holding back for a while and give it your all?" "Yeah, I guess you're right. There's a way." Sadella spoke as Naruto looked at her. "Naruto, I can help you get out of here, but you're gonna have to leave me." "What?" "It's the only way I can help you. You heard the stories, I'm unable to be killed out." Sadella had her forehead flicked by Naruto's finger as she rubbed her forehead after that. "Idiot. I care about you and I won't leave you behind. No matter what, I'll save you." Even if he helped her just because he was seeing himself in her, he still cared about her as a person. "Naruto." Naruto heard a familiar voice as he looked at his surroundings. That voice belonged to Emilia, but how could he hear her? That seemed impossible because he's imprisoned in this dark void. He saw a strange blue orb flying towards him. It was one of Emilia's lesser spirits. He wondered why it's here, so when hundreds more appeared. The lesser spirits surrounded him and Sadella and began to shield them from the Witch of Envy. "This is beautiful. I've never seen so many of them," Sadella said. "Me neither," Naruto said as he opened his hand when the lesser spirit landed on his palm. It's speaking to him, he understood perfectly since his bond with nature was powerful. "You must be one of Emilia's lesser spirits. You want to help me, so she doesn't cry?" he asked the lesser spirit, looking at it for the seconds until it floated away. "Got any plans?" Kurama asked more calmly now that Naruto wasn't going to hold back his punches. "Yeah, I know what they want," Naruto said. He sounded slightly amused. Naruto raised his arm and created a massive Rasengan, immediately after hundreds of spirits surrounded it. The technique looked like a balloon expanding to a ridiculous size. Both, his yellow chakra and their mana combined into a powerful Rasengan with a beautiful rainbow color. The rainbow Rasengan shined everywhere, destroying nearly all of the unseen hands and his clones. The whole place began cracking open like glass the more chakra and mana they poured into the technique. When the crack opened enough, sunlight began to slip through. Naruto took a massive leap and dove down at full speed toward the Witch of Envy as her unseen hand reached up to attack him. However, he was protected by the light effect of Rainbow Rasengan. "Rasengan!" Naruto yelled as he hit the witch. He pushed the Rainbow Rasengan, using all his strength he roared and finally slammed the witch on the ground, making even more cracks appear around them. He destroyed her entire body, breaking the void and the energy that made up her form. Naruto saw the witch's body fade away and finally, the Witch of Envy was dead. When he destroyed Satella's dark side, the whole place cracked like an egg and revealed a new location. Naruto and Sadella fell to the ground together, but he used his body to shield her from hitting the green grass. They looked up at the blue sky and the green grass, wondering where they were. "It's so beautiful," Sadella said with a happy expression as she got off him and explored her new surroundings. "This smells so nice and I feel so warm." She turned to Naruto, who had a sad look on his face. She realized he must be feeling guilty of leaving her in the seal. Sadella approached him and held his hand to assure him. "You must go, Naruto. Someone is waiting for you outside," she said. "But no need to be worried about me. With this new place, I can enjoy myself much more now that I'm not surrounded by shadows all the time. It's my choice to stay here. I don't want to cause the world more problems. Sadella, when I get out, I promise I'll find you and set you free." Naruto was cut off when his lips tasted another pear. When she stopped her kiss, she saw him looking at her in surprise and just giggled at his dumbfounded face. "Thank you for helping me, Naruto," Sadella said with a smile, waving her hand as she used her magic to lift him and send him back to the real world. "I'll wait for you. Now, I think I'll explore this new seal." Emilia ran as fast as she could toward the tomb. Her lesser spirits guided her to Naruto. It must be his nature chakra that made them able to pinpoint his location. She came out of the forest and back to the tomb. She walked up the stairs and entered the tomb. Her eyes scanned the place while she walked. The lesser spirits left her once she entered, telling her to wait. Then, her eyes widened in shock when she saw the blonde man come out of a purple portal. When she saw Naruto come out, she covered her mouth with her hands, feeling relieved. He walked toward her, but he began to fall because his body wasn't exactly accustomed to have reality warped around it. He landed on a warm body with a very familiar scent. Feeling Emilia's embrace, Naruto closed his eyes and breathed softly. Emilia wrapped her arms around his neck before she dragged them both to the ground. She was feeling relieved, she feared the worst, refusing to move before seeing his body with her own eyes. "Hey, Emilia. Did you miss me?" he asked. "Yes, I missed you. I thought you were gone forever, but I knew you would come back," Emilia said, some relieved tears falling from her eyes. Naruto narrowed his eyes, and he sighed. He pulled away from their embrace, raising his hand to clean her tears. "I'm sorry for making you cry." He smiled as his forehead touched hers. He kissed the half-elf to comfort her. He wanted her to realize that he was here with her, totally unharmed. Emilia, don't worry, I won't leave you." "Why would I? Our journey is just beginning." "I feared you broke your promise, Naruto. I don't want to know what would happen if you died. I don't want to be alone again. I want you to stay with me. To tell you the truth, I'm afraid I'll need your help, even if I become the ruler of Lednica," Emilia said, expressing her insecurities to him. "No, you don't, you're just saying it because you were scared. There is no need to back away from your dream like that." Emilia's eyes widened slightly, appreciating his faith in her. She then remembered something and reached for her pouch bag. "Here. You dropped this," she said, giving back his headband to him. "Thank you, Emilia," Naruto said as she wrapped his headband for him. "I really can't wait for my friends to know you." "I can't wait either. Emilia, before we leave, I have to check something," Naruto said as his girlfriend pulled away from him and looked at him in confusion. "What? Why?" she asked, getting worried about him disappearing again. "I need to see something." "Want to help me?" "Of course." Emilia smiled lightly. The two began to walk together out of the tomb. While they walked, Naruto was telling Emilia all that happened in the tomb. When the two went outside, they saw Rem standing with a shocked expression. She sprinted and leaped to hug Naruto. He released a chuckle as he hugged Rem back. "I thought you were gone. We were gonna leave you." "I'm sorry," she said remorsefully. Hey now. Everything is going to be alright. Rem, I'm going nowhere. We're leaving, but first, Emilia and I need to go check something." "I understand, Naruto-kun." It didn't take them long as Naruto used a sand platform for himself and Emilia to take a flight, if only to train on his sand manipulation. They arrived at a dilapidated stone building. Naruto and Emilia got off the sand platform. "Naruto, what's this place?" Emilia asked, looking at the building. "There's someone I need to see. I'll explain it to you later," he said. Emilia just nodded in confirmation and followed him inside. They walked inside the building and finally came to a room with a blue crystal. An empty, blue crystal. "She's gone." Emilia looked at Naruto, who had a surprised expression. "Naruto, who is she?" she asked. "He was looking for me." The two heard the voice from behind them as they turned around and found a familiar girl with long pink hair. Emilia's eyes widened in shock when she looked at Luis. "Luis? How? Why are you here?" she asked in confusion before Naruto's arm moved her away from the pink-haired girl. "Your mana, your transformation, and even your acting are all very convincing. That is the original body of Luis, but you're not Luis Meyer," Naruto said with a serious tone, looking directly at the little girl. "I knew that knowledge was your strong point, but you are quite the actress, Echidna." Luis let out a giggle with a new voice. "You're brilliant, Naruto. It's not everyone that returns to the living world once Sadella traps them. I transferred my soul into this body," she said as she lifted a necklace to show to Naruto. "This necklace contains the 5 souls of the other witches." "Oh, they missed you when you completed the 3rd tria, especially Daphne." "Echidna? And the other 5 witches?" Emilia was so lost and has no idea what's going on between her and Naruto. Naruto was going to explain to Emilia everything but decided this wasn't the place to. "Really? Well, you can tell them I say hi. Do I call you Echidna? I think that would be very problematic to call you in public." he asked. I already thought of that, I'll call myself Omega. It has been 7 days since Naruto arrived at their new home. It was Roswell who found another place, apparently he had friends, whatever that meant. The chakra paths in his arm were badly strained in his fight against the witch and her mysterious poison. Anyway, these days have done wonders for them. Emilia-sama. Naruto-san. Thank you for coming to visit us. Wilhelm said, bowing to the shinobi and the half-elf that sat on the couch together. It's been quite a while since we saw each other, it's good to see you. It's good to see you again, old man. Naruto smiled at his friend. We came here to see all you after the Sin Archbishops attacked you. Emilia said. Are you okay? Yes, I'm fine. I managed to hold 2 of them off. They were strong, but one of them that was almost untouchable. There was a good chance that I wouldn't taste victory in our match, but everyone was lucky to be alive when they left. Wilhelm said as he looked at Naruto. Naruto, I have a feeling you met these 2, am I correct? Yes, they attacked me because I had the scent of Hakugi. The witch cult now knows I am a threat to them. They want me dead so they can get Emilia. Naruto said. I see. Wilhelm said as he frowned at Naruto slightly, remembering what he did to save everyone. Naruto noticed Wilhelm's gazes staring at him. Wilhelm, what is dash? Oh my, it has been a while. Naruto and Emilia looked at Ferris. He was here with Krish to meet them. It was great to see them alive and mostly unharmed. You two must be people I knew. Crush said with a depressed tone. Naruto and Emilia couldn't help but feel sorry for her, she has changed so much since the attack. What they remembered as a fearless warrior that inspired everyone to defeat the Hakugi was now a confused person that could barely walk by herself. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto introduced himself. I'm Emilia. Emilia introduced herself softly with a soft smile. I'm sorry, I don't remember your names. I've been told that you two helped me, and yet I've been nothing but rude. Please forgive me. Crush apologized weakly as she bowed to them. Crush-sama, it's alright, you can't help it. It doesn't bother us. Emilia said, waving her hand to assure her she's okay with that. Well, now that Naruto and Emilia-sama are here, let us talk. Wilhelm said. They were the Sin Archbishop of Gluttony, witnessing that authority, there's little doubt. Wilhelm gave a grave nod, a sharp gleam in his eyes as he stares at Crush. She flinched noticeably at the severity of it. My apologies. I bear no ill toward you, Crush-sama. That I have frightened you is inexcusable. I yet have much to learn. No, I'm the one who should apologize for being an inadequate master. I'll do my best to remember you as well, Wilhelm-sama. She said. Wilhelm's expression took a look of pity, he sometimes couldn't bear to look at her, the master to whom he devoted his sword to, in this state, probably because he was blaming himself for it. What puzzled him was Ferris, he didn't seem all that bothered by Crush's transformation. Sloth is dead, and now all the other Sin Archbishops are getting involved? This sucks. The moment Emilia-sama became a candidate in the royal selection, we knew the witch cult would get involved. He said, staring at Emilia with a serious glare. Maybe, it's my fault. Emilia said sadly, looking at the ground, ashamed to think she was to blame for Crush's state. But then, a hand grabbed hers unsurprisingly, it was the blonde, giving her a comforting smile. He sighed and looked at Ferris. Emilia wasn't at fault. It's my fault for letting that happen to Crush, the 2 archbishops were looking for a person with the Hakugi scent. They attacked you first and almost killed everyone, so don't blame Emilia just because she's the main target of the witch cult. Blame me for killing the whale, if you're looking for the responsible. Naruto. Emilia watched as he took the blame for letting the 2 archbishops attack Crush and the others. Her hands turned up to palms and held his hand. This isn't your fault, Naruto. You didn't know. Well, I can see why you want to take the blame and defend Emilia, but what you say makes sense. Naruto killed the Hakugi by unleashing his strange power. It would make sense why they would go look for a monster. Emilia's eyes immediately narrowed in annoyance. She wouldn't allow this to happen to Naruto. She would scold the knight when Wilhelm took the words from her mouth. Ferris. Wilhelm's sharp roar swept through the room, it was like a thunder. You are overstepping your bounds. Regardless of what you think of Naruto, you don't have the right to call him such a slander. I have to agree with Wilhelm. Crush said. Ferris, I cannot ignore how you're acting. Apologize. She said, trying to sound stern. Her weak expression, however, was very telling of how much this was draining her. She was very weak right now, but her eyes were fierce and her gaze shot through her night. There is nothing laughable about someone admitting things they did wrong. You have no right to call him names. You understand? Yes, Crush-sama. Ferris said softly as he looked at Emilia and her knight, Naruto. He gave them a bow. Emilia-sama, I apologize for my bad behavior to your knight. Naruto-kun, I'm sorry. Don't worry about it, Ferris. Naruto smiled, though it was clear that the comment had affected him. But, just let me say this. He said as he bowed again. Can we rejoin the alliance once again? Naruto and Emilia were shocked at Ferris bowing to them without a second thought. He was affected by Crush's state and was bottling these feelings, looking for a culprit where there was none other than the archbishops. I know we dissolved the alliance after we killed Hokugi, but after we got attacked by the Sin archbishops, I don't know what to do. I didn't know how to save Crush-sama, but I tried to not give up to my desperation and I did my research. I finally found out that killing the Sin archbishop of gluttony is the only way to get her back. But, it's impossible to kill it, he's on a different level. Ferris said, tears of desperation streaming down his face. Naruto. Emilia-sama. Please. Please save Crush. Leave it to me, but I want you to know that I'm doing this for Crush. Naruto was all for helping his comrade, but he was still a human, and thus, he couldn't just immediately forgive Ferris for what he said even if he didn't mean it. What he said was really hurtful and was deeply tied to his childhood trauma. I promise I'll bring her memories back. So this is a knight's uniform. Naruto said, looking himself over once he was changed into the formal knight uniform. It was almost an exact copy of the one worn by Reinhard and Julius. Come to think of it, the shinobi was pretty surprised that the knight uniform fits him perfectly. This was made by a person named Klein. He is a house steward serving the Melode family. Naruto-sama, to wear this correctly, you are required to begin with the undervestment. Just a word of advice. Naruto turned around and saw a young man with blue hair. He was quite tall. He wore a pristine black butler uniform with a monocle on his left eye. This gentleman right here is Klein, he was the one who took his measurements. I'm okay. I'm surprised these clothes fit me perfectly. How long has this ceremony been planned exactly? Naruto asked. It was raised in discussion instantly following your arrival in our household. And once decisions were made to hold the ceremony after Roswell-sama's return. Well, I assure you that Emilia-sama has studied and rehearsed the ceremony thoroughly. Klein said. Oh wow. Then, she must be prepared. Naruto said as he looked at himself in the mirror, checking out his knight uniform and how they complemented his looks. He stretched his arms out to test if it bothered him in any way, but it was surprisingly comfortable for a uniform designed to look restrictive. To be honest, this knight uniform wasn't his style, but even he had to admit that they fitted him nicely. It made him look professional and serious. He would prefer wearing shinobi clothes, but these were the proper clothes for a knight. It was similar to how the Hokage had a special robe. It was a formality. Klein, before the ceremony starts, what am I supposed to do? He asked, clueless as to what he had to do. You step forward when you're called, then you kneel before Emilia-sama, you draw your sword from its scabbard and pass it to her. Emilia-sama takes the sword and puts it to your neck, she speaks the oath, then you accept the oath in return. That's all. Naruto looked surprised as he turned around and gazed at Garfield. Thank you, Garfield. I'm surprised that you know this. It's no problem, Captain. You needed it. Oh, are you done? He asked, he had a troubled expression on his face. Yeah, what's up? You might want to talk with your friends. Garfield opened the door, showing Petra carrying a cute fluffy, orange fox in her arms. That familiar orange fox she carried was Kurama, who he had bargained with to turn into a cute fox, and in return, he would get a semi-freedom he had been working on lately. The little fox was giving him the deadliest glare possible, which wasn't much for his actual form. Naruto couldn't help but chuckle at the proud bijou. Come on, Kurama. Playing with a child isn't too bad. Go food dash. Hey, watch your language. Matatabi said as she came right beside Petra in her small size like Kurama. She looked nothing like her normal form, she wasn't in fire because of the problems that would cause normally and instead had blue fur, aside from that she was still a cat. You can't say that in front of the child. As expected of Matatabi, she was the only one who knew of human etiquette. Ha ha ha. You look so hilarious, Kurama. Shikaku laughed at Kurama, pointing his paw at him. He too had a very different form. He looked like a cross between a dog and a raccoon. He looked like a normal tanuki. Damn you, Shikaku. I'll kick your ass, I mean your butt. God damn it. Everyone is so annoying. Kurama yelled. The action looked strange since his voice didn't keep up with his mouth, since Bija didn't talk normally. Naruto decided that it was a good idea to let the Bijas have a little fun. Even if they were ageless beings made out of pure power, they were still intelligent beings and thus, they had a right to their freedom, even one as limited as this one. The three before him were the ones that decided to stick around, the rest were exploring around and stretching their legs, or wings in one case. This freedom had a very important limitation, however. They couldn't go further than his sensor could naturally sense, or their forms would immediately dissipate and their consciousness would return to the seal. This way they would have fun and remain safe. He wouldn't let them be captured as long as he lived, they had to be protected. No one would wield their power against their will, not again. Not after a whole war centered around them. Hey, you release me. I am neither small nor tender, I'm a great demon created by the wisest god that exists. Kurama shouted to Petra with a shrill voice, bringing Naruto out of his thoughts. But you're so cute, Kurama. All your friends are so cute. Petra smiled as she lifted the little fox up and nuzzled on his head with her cheek. Naruto continued to watch Kurama and the other Bijus with a smile on his face, determined to act as their guardian. Maybe what Kurama said was right. The war changed you. You're starting to sound like the old man, Hagoromo. Just maybe. Here, take this, Captain. Naruto turned and accepted the sword that Garfield offered him. The blonde shinobi tested the blade and weighted it. The sword was heavier than the normal katana he used sometimes to train. So, he sheathed his knight sword and turned to face Klein. I'm ready, Klein. He said. I'll notify our lords and after that, they will begin the ceremony. Naruto has been in this hall before, but it looks nothing like he remembered it. Candelabra lined the red carpet, adding a formal atmosphere to the room. Garfield looked ready to go already. Beside him were Frederica and Klein. Ram and Rem were close, in their normal attire. Kurama and the other Bijas sat right next to Rem, waiting for Amelia to perform the ceremony speech. Looking at their expressions, they're pretty excited to see how the ceremony works. He guessed that it was because it was from an entirely different world. Naruto looked to find Petra gazing at him, to which he responded with a wave. Besides her was Beatrice. And standing before him is a silver-haired girl, waiting. She was in a different outfit, making him look at her in awe. She was beautiful, more so than normal. She seemed a little nervous about the whole ceremony. Naruto breathed slowly as he took a step forward and began to get close to her. When he was close enough, the shinobi kneeled before her. With his knee to the ground, he bowed his head. He followed this instruction from Garfield, thanking him mentally. The shinobi took his sword from his waist and lifted the blade, unsheathing it horizontally before his chest. Her pale fingers touched the sword. She slowly lifted it until its tip pointed to the ceiling. As Amelia held the sword, the point of the blade descended on his left shoulder. She rested the flat of the blade on his shoulder and moved to his right shoulder. Doing this to Naruto, she was amazed at how calm he is, but refrained from such thoughts. They were in the middle of an important event. To the sun that gazes over the radiant world, to the stars that watch the realm in its sleep. To the winds, to the waters, to the earth, to the light, to the spirits residing in everything. The silence shattered. Amelia's lips sing the ceremonial rite. To the grand world that received you, that nurtured you, that delivered you. To the pride that supports you, that you built, that you fostered. Naruto listened to the ceremonial rite from Amelia. The passion burning inside him is ready to combust. He wondered if this was how all knights felt in their ceremony. It was a nice feeling. To everything that watches over you, to the world that raised you, to the pride that supports you, let your way cast no shame. Without fear, without dread, without doubt, be as you are in your heart. With your will always strong, and as everything that surrounds you does, will you swear to protect me from this moment forth? To the sun, to the god, to the world, to my pride and... Naruto began before a large group of lesser spirits appeared. That didn't bother him because he felt their presence, but the people around them were, judging by their emotions. It was a beautiful moment, watching their positions and the spirits surrounding them. They looked like the perfect painting. Royal and beautiful were not enough to describe the scene, but words couldn't hope to do so, the people could just look at it in awe. To my mother and my father. With my sword and my life, I swear I will protect you. The shinobi continued. With my soul and my heart, I will realize your wishes and your dreams. Achieve them to come true. I am Naruto Uzumaki, Emilia's knight. Emilia lifted the sword from his shoulder. She fixed its alignment and presented it back to him. He respectfully accepted it in both his hands and sheathed it in its scabbard. Naruto returned the blade to his hip as he looked up at Emilia, still kneeling. He saw Emilia give a light nod and stood up. Emilia, you look beautiful. Naruto whispered with a smile, his cheeks an almost unnoticeable color of red. And, you look really handsome. Emilia whispered back with a blush. Many dishes lined the table in the banquet hall. People were speaking about the ceremony and their first impressions. Emilia watched the people enjoy the foods and drinks. She ate some delicious food from the table. She saw Petra dancing at the head of the hall in her dress. Petra pulled Beatrice along with her, forcing her into a shoddy dance. They looked very cute. What she found more surprising though, is when she saw the group of cute beaches hanging around the tables and eating the food on them. It was a surprise to see them at the party. Naruto must have summoned them for the ceremony. The beaches looked cute, but each of them radiated pure power, hence why they were not bothered by the guards. Is it just me, or were they supposed to be 9 of them? Emilia wondered, looking for the last bijou. Are you looking for Kurama? The half-elf heard a voice as she looked down and found a cute white-horned horse with 5 tails. Oh yes. That's his name. The fox with 9 tails Naruto talked about. What's your name again? I'm sorry for asking, I haven't asked Naruto. It's alright, Emilia. My name is Kokuo, the 5 tails beast. She introduced as the half-elf nodded to her. If you're looking for I see. If you're looking for Naruto, he's outside talking with Kurama. Okay, thank you, but I don't want to bother them while they're talking. Don't worry about bothering them. Kurama gets tired of talking with Naruto all the time, it's, like, their thing. He gets bored all of the time and Naruto pesters him about being lazy. Really? Does he always act like that in your world? Well, Kurama wants to sleep peacefully, which is what he does after he finishes the fight or has nothing to do. He gets annoyed with people, but you don't have to worry. He's a good guy. So, what do you think of Naruto? This was the first time she was speaking directly to a bijou, so their opinion was very important for her to know. Well, he's very cool, he even took the time to design these bodies for us to pilot. He reminds me of my father a lot, but he's very different at the same time. To be completely honest, only Kurama knows Naruto, we just happen to be in his seal because of safety reasons. Emilia was unfamiliar with the name Hagoromo, but she heard about him from Naruto. Hagoromo? Are you saying he's the one who created you? That's right. He's the one who created us and took care of us until we grew older. Hagoromo sounds like a nice guy. Emilia said. Yes, Emilia, he was. Kokuo paused when she saw Sun drinking a bottle of alcohol. Not him again. I have to go now, Emilia. If you want to see Naruto, he's outside with Kurama. Wait, I already told you that. Thank you. Emilia smiled as she watched Kokuo walk away. She giggled at them and moved on to meet Naruto, who should be outside with Kurama. She saw Naruto talking with Kurama. It seemed like a very heated argument, judging by their glowing ruby eyes. She didn't want to bother them, so she waited for them to finish. It wasn't long before Emilia noticed Kurama looking at her. The 9-tailed fox told Naruto something and hopped down from the railing. When Kurama walked past Emilia, he said no words, but he did send her a simple nod. Hey, Emilia. Looking for me? Naruto asked with a smile as the half-elf stood next to him. Yes, I'm sorry for interrupting you and Kurama. She said. Nah, it's alright. He said. Are you enjoying the party? Emilia perked up, her face turning into a happy expression. Yes, it's quite enjoyable. She answered as she wrapped her arms around him. This is the first time for me to attend a party like this, and I'm very much enjoying it. I'm glad. Naruto smiled back while wrapping his arms around her, kissing her forehead. This made her face flush red. It seemed that intimate contact in public was still her weakness. I'm afraid I'm gonna have to lock you up. You looked way too beautiful in that dress for it not be a crime. Emilia had a cherry for a face at this point. He chuckled softly and she gave him a pout as she lightly punched his shoulder. She tipped her toes to reach up for his face, held his arm to support her height, and kissed his cheek to get him embarrassed, only to receive a raised brow. "That's not fair. You never get embarrassed," she said as her boyfriend laughed at her face. "Guess I'm the winner again, Emilia," Naruto said. "So, you were looking for me. What's up?" "Oh yes. The reason why I'm looking for you. I think I'm ready now," Emilia said as Naruto blinked and turned to her. "My past. I never told you about it. Since you told me about your past, it's my turn to tell you my past." Naruto just smiled gently and held her against him, waiting for her to finally open up to him. "When I passed my first trial, I remembered everything about how my homeland was frozen. It was me who froze the whole forest, along with the elves and myself," Emilia said, looking at Naruto, who had an apologetic expression as he listened to her story. "Before Elior Forest was frozen, I used to live there with my aunt. It was a tale of happy memories, and one of sorrowful ones too. She didn't know her parents. Fortuna, her aunt, loved Emilia in their place. The villagers kindly accepted them when they had nowhere to go. And then there was the organization called the Witch Cult, secretly helping the village, and this character named Juice that made him very worried about the name. It was a limited world, but one that showered Emilia in love and kindness. And it was all ruined on the day the Elior Forest froze. The Witch Cult acted brutally as the witch named Pandora and the cardinal appeared. The arrival of the witch beast Blacksnake and Fortuna and Juice's tragedy. Emilia kept her mother's problems, and so lost both her and the village. Then Puck came, who she met upon awakening after a long time in ice. My aunt's name is Fortuna. She was the guardian of Elior Forest and took care of me when I was a child. She was like a mother to me. Juice was like a family to me as well," Emilia said with a smile, remembering to see them go together. "I noticed my aunt and Juice were very close. I always thought they would be perfect in the future until the witch cult attacked my home." Naruto was very familiar with Juice, or rather, his real name Betelgeuse Romani Conti. He was killed brutally by him. If he knew Betelgeuse was this good of a person, no, even if he was a good person he deserved what befell upon him. Either way, if he didn't kill the psycho, the kingdom would've. But that begged the question. What caused him to twist into the monster he was? "Emilia, what happened next?" Naruto asked. "I couldn't find Juice, but I saw my aunt die in my arms," Emilia said as she started to tremble. He could just hug her to comfort her. She decided to tell him, and while she made peace with her past, that didn't mean that she liked it. "Then I got angry and unleashed my power to freeze everything. My home. The elves. Myself. Everything just froze until 100 years or more later, when Puck came and unfroze me. At this point, there was no stopping the tears." Naruto found that being an empathic person sucked sometimes. He was crying with Emilia. Her story touched his heart and made him wish for it to have a different ending. But alas, here they were. "Naruto, don't cry," Emilia said as she wiped his tears with her thumb. She gave him an angelic smile to assure him she's okay and cupped her hands on his cheeks. "Puck took care of me until I met Roswell, who invited me to participate in the royal selection. It wasn't easy to get used to the glares from humans when I participated. Until I met you, Naruto. A human who wasn't afraid of me. I haven't experienced this kind of love, but you have shown me what it is. I'm so happy to have met you." He decided to let his actions show how his emotions, and, before he knew it, he was already kissing her deeply. The world around them was no longer important. They both found their significant other to be their only concern. It felt heavenly for them both, especially for Emilia, who now had a person that accepted her everything. When they finished, they only looked at each other's eyes, both smiling at their little kiss session. Then, Emilia smiled as she pulled Naruto to the head of the dancing floor. Her boyfriend didn't know how to slow dance, but he watched her instruct him to put his right hand on the middle of her back while his left hand was being held by her right hand. The two lovebirds smiled and laughed at the fun they're having. As they're still dancing, Emilia closed her eyes and leaned into her boyfriend, resting her head on his chest and letting the thrum of his heartbeat lull her. "Naruto. Yes. Never leave my side again. I promise. Naruto. I love you." "I love you too, Emilia." "Are you crying?" "It's nothing. Thank you." Then, Naruto and Emilia continued to dance, smiling to each other until the party was over. If you want to support me, check out my Patreon at https://www.patreon.com/Kayashin. I tend to polls that decide important plot stuff in my P at Trian. Many thanks to my awesome patrons. Ben Phillips.
If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.